Hello everyone, I hope you're taking it easy and your day has been great thus far. For this video we'll be going through a content review of the P-Bandai HGCE, well, High Grade Cosmic Era, 1144 Blast Impulse Gundam, and this was from Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Destiny, released by good old Bandai, of course. And I believe this was released in 2016, I think. The reason why I say I think is because it's a contents review and the box cover is literally in a box in storage. However, some time ago I did do the Force Impulse Gundam, which was the retail release, which from a build perspective is nearing completion, which is good. But I thought I would keep a bit of the momentum going and do the Blast Impulse, and I will do the Sword Impulse in the near future. As I said in the quick mouthful of a description of the video, this is a P-Bandai release, and you can probably tell by the manual because it's the very stock standard basic, no illustrations to make it look pretty. Anyway, being a contents review, the box is completely out of the picture, literally. So, looking at the manual, so basic manual, there won't be any real graphic information with it other than how to build it. But I will put a link back to the Force Impulse being the retail release if you were a bit curious about that. A very interesting parts list. Some of it will be chopped and changed from the Force Impulse. So A, B, probably bits of C, and then after that we'll probably start getting into more specific runners for the Blast Impulse. So ultimately there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 runners, including the polycaps. So it does seem like a lot. Our dear friend the X does come back a few times here on the polycap, but for the most part, a lot of the parts are used. So, there's the parts list, looking at the instructions, standard building plan, build the body, build the head, which will obviously be the same as the Force Impulse, right arm and left arm, so the only real difference will be the colour of the actual plastic used. Moving to, what do we have here? The feet, before doing a right leg, left leg, and the waist. Come back to that in a second. Putting everything together, then building the backpack, which will obviously be quite different from the Force Impulse. Backpack and the main weapons of the Blast Impulse. It's two, I'm sure they have proper names, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. Obviously attaching that to the back of the Impulse Gundam, the other weapons, the rifle, which will be the same from the Force, a shield, and a javelin. And then lastly, just how to put the, well, pose the weapons, and then it's a shame these are still in Japanese, but obviously the bits to do the core splendor and I dare say the blast silhouette, which will obviously be rinse and repeats from the Force Impulse. And there's a color guide down here, all in Japanese, unfortunately. So that was the instructions, which we'll come back to at the end. Before looking at the runners, here's a nice little view of the sticker sheet. So no, there'll be some for the rifle, some for the legs, some for the head, so the eyes and the front and rear camera lenses, and obviously some other color correcting stickers which I may or may not use. That's not too bad. It's a relatively small sticker sheet, which is quite good. Now, the runners. This will be interesting because there are runners everywhere. So, runner A1 in white. This will be pretty much the same one that would have been from the Force Impulse. In fact, there are two A runners. A2 basically being a functional copy of that bottom left section of A1, which will be pretty much your mainly your legs, feet, waist, and parts of the arm. And then the rest is shield, splendor, core silhouette, waist, arms, and things like that, back of the head, etc. So that's A1 and 2, all in white. So they would be runners we've seen before. Likewise, B1 and B2. B2 being a functional copy of top left of B1. So this is all in grey. So this will be your quote-unquote inner frame-like joint components, and obviously some of the weapons. So that's in grey. That'll probably be a recycle as well. Now, looking at the two C runners, so there's C1 and C2. So C2 would be a little offshoot of the bottom right, and that's in that, I was going to say olive green, but that's actually not olive green, but it is a type of green, light forest green. This was from the Impulse originally, because that would have been the top of the cockpit. Not that it's really movable in high grade form. Those would have been, I believe, the tips of the shoulders, and then the waistcoat. So that's C2, and then C1. So this would have been once again from the Force, at least that side, the left side. Chest, back, parts of the legs, shoulders. These two here would probably be new for the Impulse, and I suspect they're coverings for the large weapons for the backpack. And that's in a nice deep dark blue. As for the D runners, so there's two of them. So D1 and D2. So D2 on the left is all in a nice solid blue. Would have been carryover from the Force Impulse. So there is your feet, bits of the innards of the head, and part of the waist. And as I said, that's in blue. A very nice blue at that. As for D1, so this section here would have been from the Force Impulse for the shield. This bottom section here is new for the Blast Impulse. And I would envision, obviously the backpack, obviously well, I want to say the front, but it could be the back of the giant cannon things. Can't remember what these would be for, if they're specific to the blast or if they're carryovers from the Force. Can't remember actually. But that's the D1 runner, and that's in a nice red. skipping E, going straight to F. So we have F1 and F2. These will be copy overs from the Force. So F2 will be your eyes for the head, and that's in a nice translucent green. And then F1 being a nice rich yellow. The fin, shield, and the back of the chest venting. So those are the two Fs. We have two Gs, G1 and G2. G2 is actually a copy of the top of G1, or in the way that we're looking at them, the left of G1. So G1, this is definitely brand new for the Blast Impulse. So this will be predominantly, I dare say, backpack and weapons, especially this giant piece here. But surprisingly, there is still some nice detailing opportunities in there. So panel lining will be fun, and not too overly full of venting, but enough venting to make it pop out a little bit. And this is probably in a olive green, maybe camo green, something of that shading. So that's the two G runners. Gosh, runners galore. H1 and H2. Don't know how I'm guessing be that way then. So H2 is a translucent red, so this is your beam javelin effect. That's quite nice. So that was H2. As for H1, so this is going back into a bit of a white color, so the actual hilt of the javelin, more parts of the backpack, and I'm not too sure what these could be. I'm sure they're parts of the backpack as well. And that's, as I said, in white. That was the H1. And to wrap things up, we have two sets of polycaps, PC002 and PC7. So there were a lot of X's for PC002, which is fun. Obviously this will be for your joints. And PC7, so these are your circular ball joint type polycaps, and I suspect probably will be prevalent for the backpack and weapons. So there we have it, a nice contents review of the high grade Blast Impulse Gundam. So a good number of repeat runners from the Force Impulse, as to be expected, given that it is still the Impulse Gundam. But there's still definitely a lot of new runners included to make up the actual blast component of the Blast Impulse Gundam. So hopefully I'll start prepping that up soon in the next few days, and start ploughing through that. Unfortunately, Bandai did not actually release a high-grade Blast Impulse back in the original Seed Destiny timeframe. So it was only the original Force Impulse and Sword Impulse from that particular era. There is a high-grade Blast Impulse of... I don't even want to call it a high grade, it's probably more equivalent to a entry grade / first grade. Which I actually do have. That's also in storage, but I might do that at a much later date. Once I finally have all these Impulse Gundams all done up. Definitely keep a lookout for updates on my Instagram to see how this one goes, and yeah, we'll take it from there. And as I said, there will be the Sword Impulse Gundam coming up in the near future as well. But in the interim, I will obviously post a few links back to the Force Impulse and some other videos, whether it be through a playlist or some linkable cards. But definitely have a look if it's something you're intrigued about. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to leave a like or a comment and a sub if you haven't done so already. Extra content can also be found on my Instagram account, and there will be a link in the description. Thanks again for your support to help grow this channel. It is greatly appreciated. Stay safe and take care, and I will catch you all in the next video. See ya.